Hello, welcome again to another day of classes. Today we're gonna be continuing with the rest of the unit 5. In the previous class, we started with the unit and we were talking about, discussing vacation and travel plans. But today we're gonna be talking about giving travel advice, different advice, okay? And to start, we have just that, travel advisor, perspectives, okay? So we're gonna be listening and reading to these pieces of advice from experienced travelers, okay? And what topic is person talking about, okay? So here we're gonna be starting to see the grammar for today. That is how to give advices and suggestions, okay? So we have to listen and read this, okay? So let's listen.
Page 32, Exercise 6, Perspectives, Travel Advisor. Part A. Listen to these pieces of advice from experienced travelers. What topic is each person talking about?
You must have a valid passport to travel overseas. You ought to make a copy of your passport and keep it in a secure place.
When you fly, you should keep important things in your carry-on bag, such as your medication and ATM card. You shouldn't pack them in your checked luggage.
You should try some of the local specialties, but you'd better avoid the stalls on the street. You shouldn't drink tap water.
In most countries, you don't have to have an international driver's license, but you have to carry a license from your own country. You also need to be 21 or over.
You'd better buy travel insurance before you leave your country.
You'd better keep a copy of your credit card numbers at the hotel, and you shouldn't carry a lot of cash when you go out.
Okay, very good. I hope that you were understanding these advices, and here we can see that in each one of these advices we use specific words like must, should, had better, should again, don't have or have, and you had better, okay? So each one of these words are used to talk about advices or suggestions, but what are the difference between them? That is exactly what we're gonna be seeing today in the grammar focus, okay? So for the grammar of today, we have modals for necessity and suggestions. To start, modals are the type of verbs that are auxiliary in a sentence. For example, we can see that the main verb here are have, be, get, avoid, make, some, try, not some, carry, okay? And must, need to, have to, don't have to, had better, ought to, should, shouldn't. All of these are being auxiliary verbs to each one of them. And these verbs are used to describe necessity, that you need it, that these are must, need to, have to, or don't have to. The same with okay. And we have the ones for giving suggestions, like had better, ought to, should, and shouldn't. Okay? But what is the difference between them? Does must and need to and have to and don't have to mean the same? The same with had better, ought to, should, shouldn't mean the same? No. We're gonna be checking each one of them, okay? So let's see this. To describe necessity, we have must, need to, have to, and don't have to. For given suggestions, we have had better or apostrophe D better, like you'd better instead of you had better. Ought to, should, and shouldn't. Okay? Must is the strongest modal verb of the three, and it's most common in writing. It is unusual to use must in questions. We usually never use must in questions. Okay? These are for the modals of necessity for these three, okay? Have got to is most common in informal speech. It is not used in questions, okay? So we use it when we are talking in an informal way. Have to is the most commonly used model of obligation. When you have to do something, it's a necessity and an obligation to do it, okay? It is useful for forming questions and negative, okay? Let's see some examples. You have to get a passport. It is an obligation for you to get a passport. If you want to go to another country, for example, you must get a visa or visa for some countries, okay? It is something really, really necessary. That is what we use most for, okay? You need to take money. When you need to take money, it's like you have the necessity, as the name says, necessity need. For some countries, you don't have to get any vaccinations, okay? So here we have the opposite of have to. Have to is when you also a necessity to do it. But when you use don't have to, is not having the necessity. Then we have the ones for giving suggestions. We have had better or apostrophe D better, they mean the same. It's just that you can use it like this. You'd better talk to your father, or you had better talk to your father. This is used for strong suggestions, okay? I mean, for small, lesser suggestions. We have a suggestion scale right here. The weaker are ought to and should. If you say, "Hey, you should watch this movie. It's really good." It's like a weak suggestion. It's a suggestion, but it's not so strong. The same with ought to. You ought to see this movie. It's the same, okay? In the middle, it's not weak, but it's not strong. It's had better, and the strongs are must, have to, or have got to. Okay. Very good. Now let's go back to the book. It's now going to be easier to understand this part. Okay. Let's see. Describing necessity, as we said before, we have must, need to, have to, don't have to. You must have health insurance. It is a necessity. You need to be 21 or over if you want to drive. You have to get a passport if you want to go to another country. You don't have to get vaccinations on this country, for example. All of these are necessity. And for suggestions, we have you had better avoid the stalls on the streets. That it can be a suggestion. It's not weak, but it's not strong. You ought to make a copy of your passport. It is not obligatory, but it's a good suggestion. You should try some local specialties. That will be something good to do. And you shouldn't carry a lot of cash. That is a recommendation, okay? Very good. I hope that you understand this difference between the models of necessity and suggestions. And now to practice, we're gonna be choosing the best advice for someone who is going on vacation, okay? So we have don't have or shouldn't. You need to choose the correct one on each one of them. So take your time to complete this, and then when you finish, we're gonna check, okay? So you finish? Let's check. Number 1, you shouldn't pack too many clothes. You won't have room to bring back any gifts. Interesting. Number 2, you must carry identification with you. It's the law, so it's a must. Number 3, you ought to buy a money belt to carry your passport, ATM card, and cash. It's a recommendation, it's a suggestion, it's not a necessity, so that's why we don't use have to. Number 4, you had better make hotel reservations in advance. It might be difficult to find a room after you get there, okay? Number 5, you should buy a round-trip plane ticket because it's cheaper. And number 6, you need to check out of most hotels rooms by noon if you don't want to pay for another night, okay? Very good. I hope that you have all of those answers in the same way, okay? Now let's listen to a pronunciation. Linked sounds with W like W and Y, the Y, okay? So you're gonna notice how they are linked by a W sound, and other words are linked by a E sound, okay? Let's listen, and then we're gonna practice, okay? Let's listen.
Page 33. Exercise 8. Pronunciation. Linked sounds with W and Y. Listen and practice. Notice how some words are linked by a W sound, and other words are linked by a Y sound.
You should know about local conditions. You ought to do it right away. You shouldn't carry a lot of cash. You must be at least 21 years old.
Okay, very good. Did you notice? You should know about local conditions. You should know about local conditions. It's like when you say it fast, you cannot even perceive it, but you know it's there. Okay? Know about. Know about. It's linked by this w sound. You ought to do it right away. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. When you pronounce do and it sounds like a W, like w. You ought to do it right away. And here we have, you shouldn't carry a lot of cash. Carry a, carry a lot of cash. You must be at least 21 years old. Must be at. Okay, so we're pronouncing the w, yeah sound. Okay, very good. Now let's continue. Here we have a listening. Okay, so we're gonna be listening to a pleasant trip. You're gonna listen to an interview with a spokeswoman from London Visitor Center and number the topics she discusses in the court order from 1 to 4. And then you're gonna write one piece of advice that she gives for each topic, okay? So we're gonna listen, you're gonna listen as much time as you need, and then we're gonna check, okay? So let's listen.
Page 34. Exercise 9. Listening. A pleasant trip. Part A. Listen to an interview with a spokeswoman from the London Visitor Centre. Number the topics she discusses in the correct order from 1 to 4.
What should people do to make their trip to London pleasant?
Well, don't try to do too much in a short time. That's very important. You should start planning before you get here. You ought to decide in advance which sites you most want to see.
Is it easy to get around on public transportation?
Oh yes, there are buses, trains, the metro, taxis. There are plenty of options. But you ought to go online and investigate. There are websites that will show you the best route to get where you want to go. Oh, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Even British visitors have to ask for help when they come here. You'll find that people from London are happy to help. They like welcoming visitors to their city and are willing to give directions.
I see. And is London a safe city for tourists?
It's safer than many cities in the world. But just like in any big city, you should still be careful. For example, don't go off on your own, especially at night. And never carry much cash on you.
One last thing. Is it an expensive city to visit?
Yes, it can be, but there are a lot of places in the city where you don't have to spend a lot of money. If you're a student, you should bring your student ID card with you. That way, you can get a discount at museums and galleries.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, just that most people have a great time when they come to London, and I'm sure you will too.
Okay, very good. Remember that if you need to listen again, you can just go back in the video, okay? But for now, let's check. So, for number 1, letter A, letter D, it's gonna be number 1 is gonna be letter D, planning a trip. Number 2, it's public transportation, letter B. Number 3, it's safety, letter C, and number A, it's 4, money. Okay, very good. Now, let's go to the last thing for today, that is a reading. Adventure vacations. Okay, interesting. You're gonna be first reading this part, and then we're gonna complete these 2 sections right here. So, to start, let's read, you can stop the video to read this part, first 2. Now you can stop the video to read this second part, okay? Now, after reading the article, you're gonna complete the summary using words from the article, okay? So you're gonna use some words that were used in the article to complete this, okay? So let's read. So nowadays, life can sometimes be a little boring. So many people are searching for an exciting or dangerous adventure during vacations. Some people like the idea of visiting a desert island. There, they spend nights in a tent and look for fruit and other plants to eat. If they decide to go to the Arctic instead, they will walk around with unusual snowshoes, okay, on their feet, and they'll have the experience of taking care of reindeer. If they decide to choose a trip to the rainforest, they'll learn many things from local guides, and afterward, they'll live for a whole week completely alone. Okay? If you have those words, very good for you. And now, for the second part, you're gonna read the comments of people who are on one of these three trips. Okay? Which vacation are they on? You're gonna write the letter. Okay? You see that we have different letters here, A, B, C. You're gonna write the correct letter to each one of these sentences, okay? So take your time, and when you finish, we continue, okay? Finish? Let's check. Number 1. I know that the weather will be like tomorrow. That may be B or C, okay? I haven't seen anybody since the moment I arrived. That is letter A. My whole body is absolutely freezing. That's letter B. I've learned so much these first 7 days. That is letter C. I've had enough now. I'm going to call for help. That is letter A. And last one, I haven't eaten anything like this before. That is letter C. Very good. I hope that you liked the class for today. On the next class, we're going to be continuing with the unit 6. So I hope that you look forward to it. Okay? So see you on the next time. Bye.